Hey everybody, it's Robin here. Welcome to Aries Fire Tarot. So ages ago, I asked if people would be interested in like a tarot training tutorial series. So I finally have found the time to do that. So welcome here, you guys. I'm going to break the tarot training into multiple videos. There is a lot to learn, so I'm going to start today with the basics. I have the Crystal Visions deck in my hand just sort of as a demo for you guys, but I'm going to, for the training sessions, I'm going to use two decks. One is the Gilded Tarot. You guys might be familiar with that deck if you've followed me here at all. And I'm going to use the Essential Tarot. Okay, so these are two really good beginners decks. The artwork is quite ample. They're just really easy to recognize, and they come with super easy to follow along with companion books. So making your deck selection, if you're a beginner, is super important for you guys. You do not want to get an advanced deck and then blow your brains out trying to figure out or trying to memorize something that is very complicated. I'll give you an example of a couple really advanced decks that I have. One is the Starman, which is very complex. The companion book that comes with it, it's pages of descriptions related to each and every card. The artwork is bizarre and completely different. I know a lot of people like to start with the Rider-Waite decks, but for some reason those just don't resonate with me. So I'll recommend the two decks that I started with, and I actually got, my first deck was the Essential Tarot, and it comes with this adorable little book. Okay, so this is something that is pocket size. You could actually put it in your handbag if you wanted to and carry it with you and do a quick little study. I just flipped open a couple of pages here, and you can see how quick and easy the descriptions are, which are really good to start off with. Tarot is such a journey. When I started, and I'll tell you guys quickly how my tarot journey started. It was shortly after my grandmother on my father's side, she passed away, and then a few days later I received a message from her from beyond the veil, and I just heard, and I was just doing the dishes, and I heard, you know, maybe you want to pick up a tarot deck. And I thought, okay. And this was never anything that I had planned on doing, so I went and I picked up the Essential Tarot. Honestly, you guys, it took me about 6 months of study, okay? And I dedicated myself to this every single day. 78 cards in a deck, so it's not going to happen overnight. It really depends on how you're able to absorb information. So I picked up this one first, and then the second deck that I got was the Gilded Tarot. Really, really nice deck, beautiful colors. There's actually plenty of room to write in here if you want to. There's spreads available in most companion books if you're going to use spreads to do your readings. I used to use them quite frequently, and now I'm more of an intuitive reader. So whatever style you decide to read in is perfectly fine for yourself, okay? There's always going to be people that say, well, you have to read just by using the book meaning or using the imagery, all the meaning behind in the cards. Are you a clairvoyant? Are you going to get messages from your spirit guides the way that I do? So, and that didn't come in right away for me either, okay? So the tarot journey can be a bit of a slog. So we'll go through some basics at first. I love both of these decks, highly recommend for beginners, and then you can move on to decks that are a little bit more mysterious, that have a little bit less information on them. Tattoo Tarot is another one. There's so many complex decks, so find something easy. The Essential Tarot, I actually have it broken apart here for one of the sessions that we're doing later, but I'll show you how small the deck is right away without dropping it. I'm still here, hold on. It's very small. It's easy to shuffle, okay? Very easy to manage. I guess you could take it with you places if you wanted to, but I have a golden rule that my decks do not leave my home, which is my source of power. And I don't let other people touch my cards. I know I've seen other readers, they're like, oh, go ahead and shuffle the deck because they want their customer or their client or whoever they're reading for to infuse the deck with their energy. I connect to energy in a different way. I will read the person. They don't need to touch my cards. The thought of somebody touching my cards it just fills me with like, oh no, you can't do that. So on that note, you guys, your new deck, okay? So you've found the deck that you want to start learning with. It's going to come beautifully wrapped. It's an exciting moment for you. Make sure you get something with a companion book. I've learned that decks that generally don't come with a companion book, they might not be a genuine deck, okay? And they could be made with extremely flimsy cardstock. They just could not be durable and they're just not authentic, okay? So be very careful about stuff like that. If you're going to be getting decks off of Amazon or anywhere else, you can do a Google search and see what the reviews are. The cardstock was terrible. Oh, I love this deck and this is why. So I really recommend that you research a deck if you're going to get it online. If you're going to a store that sells card decks, make sure that you look them over very closely and put that deck in your hands and what kind of energy are you getting from it. It's all very important. You could be magnetized towards a certain deck. So go with what feels right for you, whatever stage of your journey you're at. And familiarize yourself with that deck. You open it up, and for me, I like to just put it in my hands for a little while. And this will infuse your energy into the deck. So that's very important. And they should be separated by suit, followed by the major arcana. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a second. Some people like to put their decks into like a satin pouch or a velvet pouch. My first few decks, I put in a pouch and I actually put them on my nightstand or under my pillow, just to really get that energy percolating. Okay, so I have a list here and I'm just going to cross things off as I go. So I'm going to talk about deck protection. So you can't see off to my, like right in front of me here, I have a bookcase and it's filled with my guidebooks. It's filled with my whatever other books that I have for training. And then I have crystals. I have my dragon over here. I have a red velvet dragon that sits on top of the rest of my decks here. I just have so much stuff and it's all in one place, okay? So deck protection is very important. I would recommend that if you are going to allow somebody else to touch your deck, which for me is a hard no, that you learn how to protect your deck and to clear it. Okay, I'm just going to cross that off. So to clear a deck, you guys, a really simple way of doing that, especially if you've had somebody in your home around where you store your decks, and some people use an altar, a very simple way of clearing out your deck is to hold your deck in your non-dominant hand and strike the deck 3 times sharply with your dominant hand knuckles. Okay, so it would look like this. And you guys have probably seen me do this in readings. Of course, I'm feeling super clumsy at the moment, so hold on and just give it 3 sharp raps, and that should shake the energy out. Another thing that you could do is put crystals over top of your deck, especially if you're the type of reader that is going to host tarot parties and you're around other people and you don't know who they are, or again, somebody else has handled your deck. You can put crystals over top of your deck to sort of protect and clear the energy. And again, you can charge your crystals under a full moon, and that'll release old energy, negative energy from your crystals and infuse with full moon energy, which is really beautiful. And the third thing that you can do is to use a smudge stick or a sage stick, which is the same thing. And I actually got mine off of Amazon, and I got a lot of my decks off of Amazon. And for the most part, I was really pleased with everything that I received. But I have gone to a couple stores, like some major bookstores will carry tarot card decks, but I just found a place down the street from me that is a divination shop. So I went there, and that's where I actually got the Crystal Visions. And this is an authentic deck, but it did not come with the companion book. But I'm in a place in my tarot journey that I don't need one anymore, you know? And I am an intuitive reader, and I'm a channel. So as soon as I pull a card, I start getting messages. And the way that I read, I give the book meaning of the card, and then I allow my guides to start flowing through me. So studying and understanding all of the book meanings of each and every card is going to be super important. This is not something that you can fast forward and become an expert in. Tarot is something where you're always learning, okay? So I'm going to just cross something else. Storage, some people are a little bit fanatical about the way that they store their cards, and that's okay. I have a couple baskets that I keep my decks in, and I do keep them covered and protected. I just wouldn't be sloppy about the way that you store them. You can put them back into the boxes that they came in, but once your tarot card collection grows, and it will, especially if you are into tarot as much as me and you just feel like, ooh, I need another deck. Putting them back into the box and then pulling them out again can be a bit of an exercise. So you need to decide what works for you. Just be very respectful that they can, you know, sit straight, that they're sorted properly. You have to understand that your decks are a source of magic. So be very protective of your deck and the storage of them. We talked about deck clearing and deck charging. So memorization and study, you guys, this is going to take a really long time, okay? I'm going to use my actual notes in follow-up videos when we go a little bit deeper into the cards. But the way that I studied, I read the books. I read the books for starters, okay? And I took the deck, and it comes sorted in your suits, ace to king, and then major arcana, okay? Every card I read, and then I'd give myself an exercise, and I kept the deck in the way that it arrived to me. Ace to king, ace to king, ace to king, major arcana. And then I would look at it and see how much I could remember. And then I also made a book of notes, and I still have it. It's been 3.5 years now, and I made notes. I did a flashcard exercise. I just did every method. I watched other tarot card readers. I watched tarot training sessions. I followed other readers to see other people's interpretations, because not everybody sees the cards the same way that I do. And sometimes you can get a really interesting interpretation from somebody else. So I really want to advise here too that part of your tarot journey is to follow other tarot readers. I follow tarot readers on Instagram. I follow them on Twitter, not so much on Facebook because I don't like to spend that much time there. You can follow other readers on YouTube, of course, and just see other people's ways of handling the cards and interpreting the cards. It's quite fascinating because you might see something that is, oh, I never thought of it that way, or that's a really interesting interpretation. And then you can add that to the way that you see the cards or disagree. One thing to really note here is, especially if you're going to do some sort of a public presentation of the way that you read your cards, nobody should be able to tell you how you want to read, okay? I see Twitter arguments on, oh, you're not a tarot card reader if you don't do this. And it's like, I just scroll. It's like, whatever. I'm not getting entangled in that. I work the way that I'm guided to, and you guys will need to find your stride and find your path. but it's all going to come from the base foundation of understanding and learning all of these cards. A lot of tarot card readers, they go right into the symbolism in the back of the cards, okay? Like everything means something in the deck, okay? So like there's a moon in the background, the sky is dark, there's a light source coming in here, but there's clouds, you know? Sometimes there's pillars, there's animals, there's colors, there's all these different things, and everything is meant to signify something in a tarot card deck, okay? So, yeah, animals, pillars, water, fire, all the elements, you know? So how deep do you want to go into your study? For myself, I did a brief overview of what everything meant, and I do have a book. I'm not going to start recommending books for you guys because that's something that you need to feel for yourselves. Do you want to learn each and every single thing that is going on in a card? Are you going to be the type of reader that only uses the symbolism in the cards? And if so, then you need to learn them really solidly. And if that is something, if that's the road you want to go down, you're going to have to really add on to the time that you allow yourself to memorize everything. And don't rush yourself. Do these exercises, okay? So we'll talk about, okay, so the cards, they're basically broken up into minor arcana and major arcana. So the minors, it is ace to 10, including the court cards, okay? Court cards are going to be the most challenging cards for you guys to understand, and I'll talk about that in a second. So the minor arcana, they talk about things that happen in day-to-day life, okay? So, and then the major arcana, also called the Fool's Journey, is big life-altering events, okay? So I'm going to cross that off. And I'm going to do a video on the Wands, the Pentacles, the Cups, and the Swords. Sorry, drew a blank. Okay, so, and that's going to happen to you guys when you read tarot. Don't worry about it. I know people that have been reading for 30, 40 years and they will still stop and consult a guidebook. It's okay. You're not machines. Okay, so earth, air, water, fire. Those are the elements associated with all four suits of the tarot, okay? So wands and fire, we'll start there. They represent energy, passion, action, drive, ambition, forward motion, okay? Cups are emotions, intuition, serenity, spirituality, and relationships. Swords, the intellect, ideas, logic, conflict, awareness. The Swords is probably the most complex and hectic element in tarot, for me anyway. Pentacles, stability, health, finance, practicality, and nature, okay? So I've covered all of those. All the elements, you guys, they relate to zodiac signs. Fire, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, Earth, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, water, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, air, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, okay? So you can see where already from an introductory video, things are getting a little bit complicated. Your head could want to explode right away. So you've got to break things down into a daily practice. You know, start with one suit. Start with the numbers, you know, break it down into small little bite-sized chunks that you can revisit every day. Keep on building, keep on building. You're not going to be a professional tarot card reader overnight, okay? So I was saying that the court cards are the most difficult cards to remember, okay? So I heard this tip and it worked really well for me to assign a person that you know to the personality of the court cards, okay? So the court cards, pages, knights, queens, kings, okay? So I went through my book here. I went to the court cards and I thought, oh, well, this particular court card reminds me of that person. So that when I was trying to memorize them, I would think of the qualities of the person that I assigned to that particular court card, and it made it way easier for me to remember them. So when you start learning, it's going to be really important for you to bring in the guidebook for whatever deck that you are using so that you can flip to a page. And again, don't be worried about taking that extra time. If you're going to start a YouTube channel, you can always hit the pause button on your recording. You guys see me do pause sometimes. Sometimes I need to take a sip of water or whatever, or I've got a plane flying overhead. But when I first started my channel, I would sometimes pause the video so I could look it up, or I would do it on camera, because there's no shame in going to a reference book, okay? So assigning friends and family to the court cards, huge helpful hint there. You can also stick Post-it notes to the back of your cards so you can give yourself a little bit of a flashcard game. Like I have the Ace of Swords here in front of me. So you could put little notes on the back. Some people actually write on their tarot cards. That's not for me. That's not anything that I would ever do, but that's okay. You do whatever you want to do. You might want to start with buying 2 of the same deck, one for you to write on and one for you to use in your practice. Okay, so that's just getting into your deck selection, getting a little bit familiar, just how to start off. Okay, don't rush yourself. If you don't see a deck that you like right away, then do not buy it until you find something that's like, well, this really resonates. I really like the artwork. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly talk about what the aces, 2s, and 3s mean. And I'm going to do that right after this quick break. I'm just going to take a sip of water and then I'm going to keep on talking. So I'll be right back. Okay, so just to let you know what's going to happen next, I'm going to talk about the aces and I'm going to go right through to the kings. And then the next video, I'm going to probably tackle 2 suits and talk about them. And then I'm going to take the major arcana or the Fool's Journey and do an entire video on that. It's going to be a long one. Okay, so I took my Gilded Tarot deck, and again, you guys might be very familiar with it. It is this deck, and it matches this companion book here. And I separated them out by the number, okay? And I have left out the major arcana that starts with the Fool, and that is going to be for the video that I'm going to dedicate solely to the major arcana. Okay, so this is the minor arcana, ace to king, okay? And you can separate the minor arcana into ace to 10 and then leave your court cards separate to study them, because they're a little bit mind-blowing, okay? A little bit difficult. And I've heard that from many, many, many tarot card readers. The hardest thing for me to learn in tarot was the court cards, okay? So give yourself a little bit of a break. Ooh, something that I wanted to mention about the Gilded Tarot, they have a website and they actually have like a 2-line breakdown for every single card. And I loved that. So you could refer to that on your phone. Like this one is really good, the Essential Tarot. You can travel with it. You know, if you take public transit or whatever, it's nice to, or you want to take a break on at work. But then the Gilded Tarot, you could always just quickly read through that wherever you are, you know? So I loved that. That was a really good study reference for me. I would do that constantly. I probably spent about 2 hours a day studying tarot, using all these different methods and handwriting notes, okay? So at the beginning of every suit, very similar to a deck of playing cards, okay? We have the aces. I'm not going to go into the meaning of each element. I'll do that in a separate video. So the aces, they are inspiration, a new beginning, and a new opportunity coming in. And you can see each element is represented here. You can see how beautiful the artwork is in the Gilded Tarot. Very easy to read. Here's the Ace of Wands. I love it. The Ace of Pentacles. The symbolism is very big, so you can catch on to it right away. These cards, they also have what the card actually is here. And some decks do not have that, okay? They just have some sort of symbolism. When you're beginning, you want to be able to see what is on the card. I would really stay away from cards that have Roman numerals on them as well. I have a couple decks like that, and I've probably, you know, made myself look like a little bit of a fool, but that's something you can't be afraid of either. Like, what does this card even mean right now? So don't be worried about it. Don't worry about making mistakes, you know, don't worry about other people's feedback. You're learning. It's always like I said before, a constant learning journey. So you have the aces in the Gilded Tarot. I know the book says the Easy Tarot, so you can look it up either way. What was I going to say? Anyway, it's so beautiful and very easy to see and memorize, okay? So the twos relate to decision making and balance, okay? So I'm going to pull these cards out. And again, the messages can be very clear here. You can see there's 2 pentacles, there's 2 swords, 2 cups. It says very plainly here. And you can see here, especially in the 2 of Wands, there's a decision to be made, okay? So you might want to make out notes for yourself based on what the numbers mean. What do aces mean? What do 2s mean? What do 3s mean? And then go through the suits, and I'm going to do that in a separate video. So when it comes to the 3s, it is creation and achievement, okay? So you can see here the celebration, like what is the card artwork telling you? It was very, very happy here. And you remember that the element is about emotion because it's water, okay? So the cups equal water. You're probably going to make notes about that too. What are the cups? The element of water. What signs are those? Okay, so imagine how many different ways you have to break it down, you guys, and you'll see that this is a very, very slow and steady climb. 3 of Cups, very beautiful. 3 of Earth, the 3 of, sorry, you guys, Pentacles. There's something else I wanted to mention about decks. They're not all of them called the same thing. This could be the 3 of Earth. This could be the 3 of Pentacles. This could be the 3 of Water or the 3 of Cups. Some decks are not called the same thing all the time. I don't think I said that right. You can see the 3 of Swords. There's something going on here. It looks very painful. There's a heart being pierced. So take your time and learn these things, you guys. The 3 of Wands, that achievement. There's 2 wands behind the character so that they've actually gone somewhere on their journey and now they're standing at a place where they can move forward. Okay. So the 4s, I'm just going to pull them off here. Stability, celebration, and anxiety. Okay, so you can see the difference in these cards. Here, watch this. Okay, so you've got the 4 of Wands. You can see, and you can just kind of teach yourself the artwork here. They're standing in something that looks like they're gonna have a party. You know, they've made themselves a little social area. That's the celebration. You can see in the 4 of Pentacles that anxiety, holding on to all the money, like, oh, I'm so afraid for the future. 4 of Swords, this actually, it represents being calm and going back into yourself. And then there's some sort of anxiety going on here. This guy's completely missing the boat on that big cup that is coming in. Okay, so the 4s, they mean stability, celebration, and anxiety. So the 5s, you want to remember that the 5s, they represent being not in a terrific place in your life, okay? So the 5s really resonate with this pivotal moment in your life where it's very uncomfortable. It means being off balance. And I have notes in front of me, you guys. Like, I still look at my notes. Like, and I've been studying tarot. It's probably, did I say 3.5 to 4 years? So never feel bad about the constant study or the constant taking of notes. You're doing yourself the favor and you are contributing to your consistent learning, okay? off balance, loss, conflict. You can see conflict here very clearly. It's a war scene. You can see this card is like there's all kinds of money going on in the background, but these two people, they're poor. It's a conflict when it comes to money matters, okay? Five of Wands, what's going on here? I like to say this card is like everybody is kung fu fighting, you know? And then you have the Five of Cups, which is, of course, related to emotions. Something very desperate happened and somebody being stuck in the past, okay? Being off balance, a sense of loss, a sense of conflict. That's the fives. Okay, so the sixes. You guys can let me know how I'm doing down in the comments. I was really nervous doing this. I got to tell you, I was like, I'm going to mess it up, but I'm actually having fun doing this. So the sixes, reciprocity, ease, and support. Okay, so the Six of Pentacles really shows reciprocity at its finest. This is the sense of give and take. You can see this person here balancing off the scales. You can see hands coming in to take and give equally. Okay, the Six of Cups, this is something coming back around. There is the sense of another opportunity, one that maybe it slipped away in the past. It can also be a childhood friend coming in. So you have the base meaning of what the cards mean. And then you have to go a little bit deeper into it, okay? So we have the Six of Fire here. Support. You can see the crowd in the background. You can take your time and look at the cards for however long you want, you guys. Like, I really recommend that. Just absorb them. Take the notes. Take the time. You want to take this card as being, this is the character that is the central character in the reading. And then they're being supported by everybody around them, okay? And the Six of Swords, this is probably one of the nicest swords cards there are. Moving forward into a place of being more comfortable in life and with the thoughts, because the air, they represent the thoughts, okay? So let's move on to 7. Let me just pull them out here, okay? So 7, agenda, evaluation, options, and contemplation, okay? So here's the 7 of Pentacles, okay? So this basically it's the agenda of planning the rest of your life. This is planting your seeds to move forward. And you can see this is around money matters, okay? Let's have a look at the next card. Here's your options. It depends on how you read things, you guys. It could be too many options or having so many options. You know, it depends on how you interpret the card and how they relate to the other cards that you're supported with it on either side or around, or if you want to clarify it. The 7 of Swords, this is a very tricky card to read. I really like to rely on the other cards that are going on around it. This is like maybe having regret that you left something behind. This could be somebody coming in to take something away from you. This one is very difficult and challenging to interpret for me. So I like to clarify the 7 of Swords. I like to see what else is going on in the reading. And then you have the 7 of Wands, and you can see that the character is holding something in front of him and he's pushing other people back, okay? Because he's being backed into a wall by other people, okay? So this is like other people's agendas being forced upon him. So hope you guys are doing okay so far. I'm just going to continue on. We just have a few more cards to look at, and then I'm going to stop the video, and then we'll pick it up after that. Yeah, brilliant. So the 8s, you guys, 8s are actually very interesting. They all are. If you guys have ever watched me read, I'm like, ooh, that was interesting. That's an interesting card. And because they all are, they're all so deep. Especially when you start to feel really confident that you understand the book meaning, and you can start assigning your own interpretation, which is also cool. Okay, so the 8, forward motion, higher learning, action needed. Okay, so let's start off with the 8 of Cups. Somebody wants to move forward. The water relates to emotion. So you can look at, well, there's 4 knocked down and there's 4 standing up. So he's kind of torn. He wants to move forward, but he can't. Okay, so there's an action needed. He just can't decide. He's in that sort of wishy-washy place, stuck. Eight of Swords, definitely stuck. The Swords relates to air, relates to your intellect and decision making. This is being trapped by 8 swords, okay, with the blindfold on. So being so caught up in your own head, you can't move forward. Okay, the 8 of Pentacles, higher learning. You can see this in the way that you could trigger your memory. Okay, he's actually studying on a pentacle, and there's a whole bunch of stuff floating above him, so there's more to be attained. Okay, and then we have the 8 of Wands, which is that immediate catapult moving forward trajectory. So there's going to be all kinds of little tips that you can write down for yourself as you move along. And the things that work for me might not work for you, but this is going to take all that cross training that I was talking about. So where are we here? The 9s, reflection, success, worry, and payoffs. And these ones I find really, really easy to read, okay? Especially in this deck, okay? So we have the 9 of Wands. This is reflection. There's 8 wands behind the character, and he's taking a knee, and he's like, what just happened, okay? And how should I move forward? That is reflection. 9 of Cups, obviously very, very happy, very successful, having enough money to entertain and be surrounded by other people. The 9 of Pentacles here, again, success. That 7 of Pentacles that we saw with the money tree, you're now able to go in and reap your garden. And the infamous 9 of Swords that always shows somebody just weighed down by all of these thoughts, like they're just like taunting and terrifying, so I find the 9s very easy to memorize, okay? And you might too. Let me know which one is the toughest one for you guys, or it could be all of them, okay? So the 10s. The 10s are the end of a cycle, the end of the cycle of the earth, of the air, of the water, of the fire, okay? So the 10 of Wands, look at this guy. I actually love this card so much because it looks how strong somebody is. The 10 of Wands, okay? Carrying that load no matter how hard it is, no matter how heavy it is, moving forward, keeping the eye on the prize, okay? The 10 of Pentacles, this is the jackpot card. That's what I call it. That's what a lot of tarot card readers call it. There's a great big treasure chest there. So you can see that is the end of a very successful cycle of the Pentacles, which equals money, okay? The 10 of Cups, this is joyful. This is the cookie cutter gingerbread house with the cups forming a rainbow over top of the perfect family with their 2.5 kids and their white picket fence, and they've got an orange cat there, I think. So you can see where animals also play a very big part in cards. I don't read that way. I just advise people that if they see an animal or something very significant in the background, that they can go ahead and look up what that spirit animal might mean, what that totem might mean. I ask people to do that for themselves because I'm not that kind of reader, and you should not feel bad about doing that. 10 of Swords, the end of a cycle of worry. Okay, so those 9 swords, they finally released. It doesn't look very comfortable, but it means that the cycle is over. So I was talking about Starman being a very complex deck. If you were to compare the meaning for a traditional tarot card deck like the Gilded Tarot against the meaning for the Starman tarot card deck for the 10 of Swords, you would see something completely different. So definitely build up to those very, very challenging, experienced decks, okay? Don't start there. I can't say that enough. So the pages, they're messages, okay? They're carrying something forward. They're actually bringing you a message, okay? Here's the Page of Cups. He wants to bring a message in about your emotions. This could also be a message from your inner child, a message on how to move forward. When you connect the dots of what each suit means and what each card means, Okay, so the page is carrying a message about next steps. Just like the Page of Pentacles is carrying messages about your earthly matters, your financial abundance. And finally, the Page of Swords. And you want to look at things like, where is the sword in the card? He's got his tip down. So it could be that he is waiting for a message on how to speak next. So your interpretation will probably vary each and every time that you pull a card. And that's a good thing. It keeps you from stagnating. So don't worry about it too much. Okay. The Knights, they are mounted and they are moving forward. So the Knights take the messages from the page, okay? When you look at the series of the cards, everything builds on the card before it. So they are telling a story all the way through, okay? So the cycle ended with the 10s, and now you're able to move on and receive messages from the page. So the page will take its message and give it to the Knights, okay? So you can see the Knight is ready to move forward in emotion, okay? And he's very excited about it. You've got the Knight of Wands charging forward, you know, just, I am ready to take action. I heard that message from the page. Now I'm moving forward confidently. You have the Knight of Swords here. He's made that decision with the messages that he got with the Page of Swords. And he's like, yeah, I'm coming in, you know, attack, croak. And then you have the Page of Pentacles, or sorry, the Knight of Pentacles moving forward. I know what job I'm going to pursue. I know what I'm going to do next in the earthly matters related to my life. Whew. Okay, so we have two more left. We have the Queens and the Kings, okay? So these are the power couple. They are divine masculine and divine feminine, okay? So divine feminine, obviously being the queens. All right, so the queens, they represent commitment and transformation. They take the action steps from the knights and they carry them to the king. They are the alchemist. They are birthing from one situation to the next, okay? So the Queen of Cups, she's the queen of emotions. She's the queen of water. She's very calm and collected. She takes all this information all the way from the ace to the knight, and she's ready to transform that and carry it to the king. And the same with the Queen of Wands, okay? She's very action oriented, and there's all these different significators under these cards, you guys. So this is why I said it's going to be really important to find somebody that the Queen of Wands reminds you of. Find somebody that the Queen of Cups reminds you of, and start thinking of their personality. So when you pull the Queen of Pentacles, oh, who does that remind me of? And then all of these attributes will come flooding in for you, and you won't have to memorize. Man, the book description is like, it's way too much, okay? And then the Queen of Swords. Who reminds you of the Queen of Swords? This quick-witted, protective, very smart, wise, you know? So that is my advice for these, especially the Queen and the King, especially the Queen and the King. So the King, this is the power. This is the achievement. This is I have successfully completed every stage in that cycle of my life. And now I'm at the top of my game. Look at this, the King of Swords. This is power, control, success. You know, very analytical. He could come off as being very cold and steely, but he's very smart. The King of Wands. He is just, I am the action hero of tarot, okay? The King of Pentacles, the self-made man. He started off on his road, and we'll go through all of those separately, you guys. So don't get hung up if this is getting over your head. We'll drill it down a little bit more video by video. Self-made man. When you think of the King of Pentacles, you want to think of somebody that was extremely successful. For me, I live in Canada, so there was somebody on Dragon's Den, and his name was Michael Weckerly. And I relate him to the King of Pentacles. And by the way, is he single? But anyway, and then we have, sorry, I can't see here, the King of Cups. Okay, so really the master of emotions and being very controlled and not be manipulated. So that is my breakdown. That is your introduction. I just saw an angel number 4444, and I think that's as good a time as any to wind this one up, you guys. So let me know what you think. And if we're going through the lessons, if there's anything that you want me to talk about more, or if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the comments, and I will do my best to address them. I'm going to cover as many videos as I feel like are sufficient for your learning. But if you need other ones, subsequent videos, just let me know. And you guys know that I always do my best to help you on your path. So I'll see you next time. Bye.